is going on, everyone, and welcome to the Dynasty Pros Fantasy Show, part of DynastyProsFootball.com. Got Bob Miller here. You've got my tag team partner, Tommy Harvey, over there. Hey, and do us a big favor. Make sure you go over to Twitter and all this stuff and subscribe. Go to YouTube and hit that subscribe button, that thumbs up, and do us a big favor. We're here every week, Wednesdays, but we're going to be doing Tuesday nights moving forward. So we appreciate you taking a peek in and watching us here. And go and make sure you go to our DynastyProsFootball.com as well. Check out the newest rankings and trade value charts. So without further ado, Tommy, man, how are you doing? How is your Wednesday treating you so far?
Man, that intro always hits hard, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
love it.
Always pretty jazzed up, pretty hyped up on that one, man. I love it every time. You ought to see the new IDP show we're doing. The intro for that is I think it's even better. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. So what's going on, Tommy, man? What's going on today in the world of fantasy football, bro?
Well, we're getting closer and closer to kickoff, so that's always a good thing.
Oh my gosh, yes. Cannot wait. Was it like tomorrow?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow. I love it. I can't wait. Cannot wait. And then Sunday is just going to be so delicious, just sitting there all day watching football. Oh.
I'll be sitting there all day Saturday watching football too. It's going to be glorious.
Yes, you are. You are the Devy guy, so that is that's kind of your job to be watching college football. So a whole delicious weekend full of football. I can't wait, man. So what's going on? What's going on in the NFL right now? What's some of the latest news we've got going on, Tom?
Well, apparently Dameon Pierce has been listed as the number one running back in Houston, so there's that. That ought to make people happy.
I don't know, man. It is, because people that obviously went to go get him, or people that drafted him, are super happy about that, because that's the reason why they did draft him. They were, they probably put a third-round pick into him, and
sure,
maybe even in the fourth round, or late second, depending on when you drafted. But this is exactly what you were hoping. Marlon Mack got cut for the second time, and he's now the unofficial starter. We'll wait to see if anything changes there, but it looks like, moving forward, he will be the primary running back. So that is fantastic.
I'll just be happy when we can stop talking about him.
You think so?
Jesus.
Yeah, you're not last week we talked about Dameon Pierce. You're not a fan. But in fantasy football, opportunity is almost everything. So he's going to get some touches. He's going to get a lot of opportunities to score some touchdowns and everything. And so, throwing a late second, third round rookie pick into this guy, oh my gosh, that's a tremendous value. You can maybe use him as a flex, and getting something, a starting flex in your second to third rookie draft.
Sure.
You can't beat that.
17 carries for 44 yards and maybe a touchdown. Perfect.
And plus it gives you that depth. I mean, with the way these running backs drop like flies, or they miss a game or two, I always tell you that you can never have too many running backs. It's if you've got 10 of them, then that's fantastic. I'm serious. You can't have too many of those guys. So what else is going on, big guy? Anything out there of? I see that Cliff Kingsbury says that Zach Ertz is looks like he's on track to play week 1, thankfully.
Yeah. That's good news, because if not, then it'd be the Trey McBride show for a week, and I guess we'd get to see him, but
well, I waited. Everyone was going hot and heavy over tight end in the second and third rounds of these drafts, and on most of the drafts that I did, that was just a little too steep for me. I do like Kelsey, and I love Andrews, but anytime I did drafts or mocks or best balls, anytime I took a tight end in my second round or something, I wasn't the happiest with my roster. I think I would have rather had that running back. And one of my favorite targets later on was Zach Ertz. Yeah, I did grab, I grabbed a lot of Dalton Schultz, depending on if he dropped. But if he didn't, I went Zach Ertz, and I went Zach Ertz a lot. I own a lot of
Sure.
him. With DeAndre Hopkins out for the first 6 games,
Yep.
I mean, Zach Ertz will be a primary, probably the second receiving option, possibly even the first. I mean, Hollywood Brown and Zach Ertz will be the guys for several weeks. So I think you're going to get he's going to drastically outperform his ADP. I mean, yeah, people don't want to grab him because of his age. I don't care. The guy could be 40 years old for all it matters to me, as long as he's producing. So
sure. Yeah, I mean, I've always been a fan of Ertz, even when he was in Philly. As a Cowboy fan, that's tough to say, but Ertz is genuinely a good dude, and he's a great player. So what's not to root for?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just such a fan. I hope he does well, and especially for my fantasy team's sake.
Right.
What else is going on out there, Big Tom?
Well, it looks like James Robinson is going to be active for Week 1.
Nice.
So, I don't know what that means for Travis Etienne, but I would assume Robinson is going to take several touches away.
You think?
I mean, you would have to think so. Robinson was so good 2 years ago, got hurt last year while Etienne was hurt. So they're both kind of coming off injury. So I guess you kind of got to nurse them both back.
Yeah, I own a lot of James Robinson. I think I even have him in the Scott Fish Bowl and things like that. I mean, I just picked him up because you were getting him almost for free.
Yeah.
And not that I think he's going to be the primary back, but I think he'll have some use. And listen, Etienne has, he got hurt last year, didn't play a single snap really. So who's to say, if you why not grab James Robinson? Because if Etienne goes down again for some silly reason, I don't know if he's honestly an every down back that can take that type of punishment, especially in the NFL. I think James Robinson's a great little sneaky little stash just in case.
Well, and
like
the good thing is with both of them is you can put them both on the field at the same time. You kind of split Etienne out in a slot receiver type role while Robinson's in the backfield, or whenever Robinson's not in there, Etienne's obviously the number one running back. But I think the good thing is with both of them is you can put them on the field at the same time.
You can. Completely agree. I'm trying to think of what else is going on out there, man. There's been a few things that I think's fairly notable. So,
there's been some news in Atlanta about Damian Williams, possibly factoring pretty heavily in the Atlanta offense. So,
hey, listen, I've got a special place in my heart for Damian Williams. I remember he won me a fantasy championship one year. So, I love the guy. And like I said, Scott Bear says that he should factor heavily. I don't know really what to think. A lot of those Tyler Algier owners out there don't like the thoughts of that. Maybe they use Damian early on in the season, and Tyler slowly takes over. Who knows?
Right.
Who knows? But
don't forget also Cordero Patterson. Takes a lot of carries there too.
Yeah, I would think that Cordero's still going to be the primary guy there. But Damian could have some sneaky good value there, especially if he factors heavily into the running game. I just grabbed him for free. Actually, in the Scott Fish Bowl, I just picked him right up just 30 minutes ago, I suppose.
Sure.
You can never have too many running backs, and I'll always say that until I'm blue in the face. So I'll pick them up all day, and if someone drops, then man, I've got a guy that I can probably use there. Not saying that's going to be a fantastic offense by any means, but he may get some touches, get some goal line work, especially. I mean, he's a proven back. He's trustworthy. And so Atlanta probably values that.
Well, and while you have a rookie trying to learn how to play in the NFL, it's always good to have somebody to just kind of grind away. Damian Williams can be that guy for at least a couple weeks, you'd think.
Mm-hmm. You know what, man? We've got some questions here, and let's take a look here. What do we got? Smokey the Cat. All right. Hey, guys, can you please rate my 12-team redraft PPR? Herbert, Jefferson, Godwin, Ayuk, Renfro, Burks, Kelsey, Zeke, Monty, Hunt, Henderson, and Madison. what is this, you think, Tommy? Like an 8-team league or what? And he's
Well,
got,
it says it's a 12-teamer, but you look at it. I'm assuming it's a 1 QB. We've got Herbert and Jefferson. That's always really nice. Kelsey, his running backs may be a little on the weaker side, but I'm not too terribly worried about that, especially whenever you look at the receivers he has with Jefferson, Godwin, and Ayuk. Kelsey as his tight end is obviously as solid as it gets. I'd probably give it a B to B plus.
To me, Herbert, that's a win. Jefferson, a win.
Right.
We'll have, hey, Smokey the Cat, you might want to, keep on the line here because we will be talking about Jefferson here shortly. And I will be maybe talking about a little Hunter Renfrow as well. So keep an eye out later on in the show. I'm looking at this, Tommy, and I love it. It's a 12-team league, man. It's not a 10-team league.
Sure.
So to get this type of roster up there, Herbert, Jefferson, Godwin's a little, when he comes back, he's going to be very, very good.
Well, apparently he's taking the brakes off. So
yeah,
that's got to be good news.
He may even play this week, but I doubt it, but he could. I love Hunter Renfrow, Treylon Burks. I'm not 100% sure what we have there.
Right.
But you have Kelsey, so you've got an advantage at Herbert there. You've got just a super advantage with Jefferson, with Kelsey. I love Renfrow, Brandon Ayuk. We'll see what happens there with, how they distribute the ball. I'm really, really curious if Ayuk. I'm kind of on the fence about him if he's going to really be a nice fantasy player this year. I'm kind of leaning maybe a little bit more of a disappointment. But Montgomery and Zeke, I like that. That's nothing sexy, but to grab those guys, to grab Herbert, Jefferson, and get Kelsey, you're probably looking at, his first 4 picks had to have probably been, Jefferson had to have been his first round pick. I would think that Kelsey was a second round pick. Herbert, I don't know if he went as early as the 3rd. I'm not 100% sure. But getting Zeke and Montgomery there in then kind of probably maybe in the 4th, 5th rounds, I love it. I'm a big, big fan of Zeke this year. Dynasty, you and I have kind of had those conversations. If Dallas is going to keep him moving forward, they do definitely have some decisions to make next year. They can save a lot of money by releasing him. But for this year, I really think they're just going to ride him like crazy. So, you gave it a B to a B plus. I say, I'm going to go A- on it. I'm going to go with an A-. I would have probably gone with an A to A+ if there would have been some really, really elite running backs there. But he has elite players all over the place. And
it's also tough to really give an accurate grade without seeing other people's rosters as well. There could be 3 or 4 guys who have just tremendous rosters, and everybody else just be kind of bottom of the barrel. But
and there might be some guys in this league that didn't know what they were doing. So that's the reason why Smokey here got such a good roster. And he also adds on that he has Michael Gallup on the IR for right now.
Okay.
So he can put Gallup in there for Ayuk or Treylon or something. So he definitely has some depth there. We have one more question here so far, and this comes from Lamb Cup. Who should I start out of Brandon Cooks, Amon-Ra, Gabe Davis, Devontae Smith? He can start 2 at flex.
I think you play the matchups with those 4 guys. I think they're all 4 fairly similar in what they're going to give you as far as points from week to week. Just depends on on who they're playing against.
I know one I'm going to chalk in right there is Amon-Ra. I'm a huge, huge fan of him this year. You're getting him at a wide receiver 3 price. And we'll talk about in our bold predictions here in a little bit what I think about him at that price. I'm probably going Brandon Cooks and Amon-Ra, the first 2 that he said. Those are the number 1 options in both offenses. Gabe Davis is not. Devontae Smith is not.
Right.
So no matter the matchups or whatnot, I'm going Brandon Cooks and going Amon-Ra. That's a pretty easy decision.
Well,
Easy
the reason I say play the matchups is because Houston's not very good. The Lions aren't very good, so from week to week they could have some consistency issues.
It's possible, but he's going to be the number one option there in that passing offense. The worse they are, the more they're going to throw. And so Brandon Cooks has always been productive and highly undervalued, and that happens every year. So for me, it's Cooks, it's Amon-Ra, and it's not even close. So, oh, by the way, Smokey chimed in again here real quick. He said he got Jefferson there at pick 8. He got Kelsey in the 2nd. Zeke was in the 3rd. He got Montgomery in the 4th, and then he grabbed Herbert there in the 5th. He was the highest team after the draft, according to Yahoo. Well, you should have been, Smokey, because that's a very, very good team. Well done, sir. Well done. All right, so let's move on here to a little bit more NFL news, Tommy. What's going on? We just talked about Damian Williams a few minutes ago. Oh, you know what they want to hint that I really, really like? The Athletic's Jeff Zebrick believes that the Ravens tight end Isaiah Likely is the closest thing to the answer as far as a third receiving option there in Baltimore. I completely agree. I've talked about it on other podcasts, other shows. Isaiah Likely is a friggin' stud. Is a stud. He is a nightmare for opposing defenses. You've got Mark Andrews there. Baltimore's going to be running at 12 personnel, even a 13 personnel, because they have the other tight end there, the blocking tight end. I think that Isaiah Likely is a great pickup. If he is on the waiver wire and really in any league, unless you have an elite option like a Kelsey or Andrews or something like that, I think he is a sneaky good pickup at tight end, because I think he's going to get a few catches and some touchdowns. I think he's going to get some volume, and it's going to be pretty surprising. As a matter of fact, I think he might be one of the big time pickups after maybe week 1, week 2, week 3 this fantasy season. And I think if you can go grab him now, if he's for free, I absolutely recommend it. If you have a pretty decent sized bench, if you have the roster space, then do it. I wouldn't go drop any starter or anything for him, but especially if you're in a tight end premium league, go grab him. I think he's going to be pay off pretty well for you, especially bye weeks. Or if you're a Mark Andrews owner, he is a great handcuff for you.
You know what? Just go and YouTube some of his highlights from when he was at Coastal Carolina. He would burn everybody, even from the tight end position. He had one play last year. He caught a 99-yard touchdown pass last year. Just went straight down the seam. Just toasted everybody.
He did, man. He's a freakishly good athlete, and he's got hands. He's got it all. I mean, what PFF or something rate him as the top ranked tight end like ever coming out of college. I mean, he was at Coastal Carolina, but who cares? He's showing off. I mean, yeah, he really kind of blew up in the preseason here, but I think it's going to move right forward into the season there. I think he's going to be a great target and one of the favorite targets of Lamar moving forward. So I think if you can go grab this guy, I think it's absolutely worth it. Yeah. And speaking of the Ravens, John Harbaugh says that J.K. Dobbins, his availability for this week, for week 1, really depends on how he practices this week. It's about 50-50 from what I'm reading, what I'm seeing here, but I really like to think that Dobbins will play. It may not be much, hence the signing of Kenyon Drake.
Right.
But I really do think he will, just in spite of someone like, was it Ian Rappaport that made that report that he wouldn't be ready or something like that?
And then JK went at him on Twitter.
He did. Yeah, he's like, yeah, where did you get these facts? Where did you get this? Blah, 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 blah. So I think kind of he doesn't want Rappaport to be correct. I think that, he might play a handful of snaps. I have him in a lot of leagues, and I'm really having a hard time maybe starting him this week. I am a little concerned about that. So that's something to really monitor all week. But even if he is suited up and ready to go, if you have other options, I would certainly recommend it. And don't be afraid to tweet at us, over at Dynasty Pros FF and ask our opinion of it. Or you can tweet Tommy or I here. You see our our Twitter right here. So, that's just something to really monitor if you are a JK owner. I think if you do have okay options on your bench, it might be you might want to go and start one of them this week over him as of right now. So
well, also for the Ravens' sake, it's better for them that he comes back sooner rather than later, because having to roll out Mike Davis and Kenyon Drake is kind of a yikes type situation.
No way. Those guys are great. Hey, better than what we had last year. Better than what they had. I mean, Devonta Freeman and Latavius Murray.
Marginally.
No. I think Mike Davis is better than Latavius Murray, and I think Kenyon Drake's better than Devonta Freeman. So I think they have a little bit better options there. So definitely, be very, very wary if you're a JK owner, at least for this week. So, all right, Tommy, I think that covers really the NFL news that I find very fantasy relevant, going into this week, this weekend. So let's talk about, the title of the show is our bold predictions, and we have a few of those.
Sure.
And so let's not spend a whole lot of time on those. I know everyone's got something better to do than watch our ugly faces. But yeah, let's get into some of these. Let's start off with you. What do you have as far as a bold prediction this year?
My number one bold prediction is that both Tua Tagovailoa and Matt Ryan finish in the top 8 for fantasy quarterbacks.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, just the weapons Tua has, if he does not take advantage of that, he's going to find himself on the outside looking in over the next couple of years, because there's no excuse to not put up big numbers with Waddle and Tyreek and Gesicki. He has all the weapons there to make him successful, and if he can't be, then he won't be the guy for long.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty bold. I mean, I guess that's the reason why it was number one on your list.
Yeah. And
I was a big Tua fan last year. I had Tua. You remember I wrote my, I think my bold predictions or whatever article that I do every year. And there was several predictions I had there. I believe I said Cooper Kupp was going to finish as the number one, fantasy receiver. I said that Joe Burrow was going to be a league winner for you. Don't go crazy over quarterback. Don't take Mahomes, anyone early. Go grab Burrow toward the end of your draft. I did also say Tua would be a great quarterback grab. I kind of swung and missed at that one.
I think you were a year too early on that. I think he's going to be a league winner this year.
Man, that's great. That's great, because I'd rather be right in some sort of way.
Dream Glenn.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm really rooting for him. He certainly has the weapons. It's a make or break year for him.
Yeah, it is. And I have faith in him that he'll be able to do it.
What makes you think Matt Ryan's going to finish there in the top 8?
Well, the move to Indianapolis, he has a much better offensive line. He's got good young wide receivers there, with Pittman and Pierce and Campbell, and he has a great running back to take pressure off of him.
I've got guys guys I work with or whatever are just seeing us on Facebook here, and I'm getting some nice comments here saying, "Hey, you look sexy." My boy Tyler and my boy Shane are both commenting on me, and I appreciate it, guys. You all have good taste. You know a good looking man when you see one. Anyways, you know what? I'm going to go with my number 5 prediction. I'm going to count backwards. You threw it all out there. You're first at bat.
I did.
I'm going to go with number 5, and that is that Justin Jefferson reclaims that dynasty wide receiver 1 position by finishing as the wide receiver 1 overall this year. I think that I love Cooper Kupp, but there's definitely going to be a little bit of regression there. I mean, he can't obviously put up the numbers that he did last year. On top of that, the news of Matthew Stafford's elbow giving him fits, giving him issues, and it seems like it's going to be an issue all season. Who knows what's going to happen there? Who really, really knows? I don't know if he's going to need some kind of Tommy John or something like that. Let's knock on wood and hope that he doesn't. But, I just redid our rankings over at dynastyprosfootball.com, and I have Justin Jefferson as the wide receiver 1 overall, just ahead of Ja'Marr Chase. And I was one of the first people that put Ja'Marr there, I think, in Dynasty rankings, and then a lot of people got really hot and horny over him and slid him into that number 1 spot. But the more and more I see it with this offense throwing the ball more, all signs point to me, man, is that Justin Jefferson is going to be an absolute stud this year. I've actually seen him in a couple of leagues go as the number 1 player overall in the draft, even over Jonathan Taylor, which is kind of wild. But you have been a big Jefferson fan since college. What's your thoughts? I mean, is that, I don't know. I don't know if I'd call that bold. That's the reason why it's number 5 on my list. But I really do think this time next year he will be the number 1 receiver taken in fantasy drafts.
It's very likely. How high I was on Justin Jefferson coming out of college. He was my wide receiver 1 in that entire draft. And who was the guy I told you was even better than he was?
I know. You said it was Ja'Marr Chase. You said, hey, listen, I love Justin Jefferson. He's a stud, but guess what? He's not even the best player on his team.
That's right.
And you said that for quite a while, and you were absolutely right. But I like Ja'Marr. Don't get me wrong. I just think there's so many options there. And, T. Higgins is going to get his. Sure. And I don't like Ja'Marr. To me, is not he's not going to be one of those 100 type catch guys. I mean, he might be like an 80 to 85 catch guy with some nice touchdown upside there, but I just don't think he's going to be like last year was his rookie year. I understand, but I think last year's kind of what we expect, or what I expect to see out of him moving forward, is he's going to be a big home run hitter. But there's going to be some other games. If he doesn't score a touchdown, he's going to be a little bit of a letdown. Whereas I see Justin Jefferson is going to get peppered, absolutely just peppered with targets. And even if he doesn't score a touchdown, I think he's going to put up plenty of fantasy production to where you can count on him week in and week out.
That's a solid pick.
So what else you got, man? What's next on your list?
Next on my list is Christian McCaffrey stays healthy and finishes the overall number 1 player.
Overall, eh?
Overall.
I hope you're right. You and I are in a bunch of leagues, and you know how much CMC that I own. And I even wrote in an article, what was our buy lows and sell highs? I wrote that a couple of months ago, and I said, it's maybe a time to sell McCaffrey, but you're not going to get anything for him. I said, if you were an owner, you might want to hold on to him. You want to hold on to him, in my opinion, and wait for that week 1, week 2, watch him put up 30 fantasy points in both of those games, and maybe it'd be time to cut bait and sell as high as you can on him right then and there. Gosh, people are blowing up my phone. But I think that's a time to kind of cut bait with him. However, if you do keep a hold of him, I hope to God, I hope and pray that he stays healthy. I hate to see these guys like Saquon and everything, these guys getting hurt. I mean, this is what they do for a living. They put so much work into it. They put by far more work into that than I probably do at anything in my life. So, you hate to see that come crashing down on them, and then they have to put in so much work to rehab and get better. But I told you last week, I may even said it on another podcast, the thing that really, really worries me about these guys is all of this muscle they put on so quick. And McCaffrey was one of those guys. Saquon was one of those guys. I'm scared to death right now of Lamar with the 18 to 20 pounds of muscle he's put on this offseason. Sometimes their body's not prepared for this. And when they're making these cuts and these moves, how their body handles that, whether it's a ligament, if it's just a muscle or something. And I see that with a lot of guys, and Saquon's one of them, McCaffrey's another. So I just hope that he's done enough this offseason and learned from those mistakes to where he can manage his body, he can protect himself from making any bad moves or doing some of the same, making maybe some of the, if there were some previous mistakes that he made, kind of cut that out to where he can stay healthy and stay on the field, because he's a cheat code. If he's on the field, he's 1.5 running backs, and you have an advantage over everyone, including the Jonathan Taylor owner. So
yeah, I mean, whenever McCaffrey's healthy, he's LaDainian Tomlinson. He's Marshall Faulk. He's Priest Holmes from back in the day. I mean, he's those guys whenever he's healthy. So
I mean, Tomlinson, Marshall Faulk. Marshall Faulk was one of those guys. So yeah. Let's see. Let me go with one of mine here. A little bold prediction. My number 4 bold prediction of the year is that Patrick Mahomes finishes outside the top 5 at quarterback in fantasy points this season.
That's pretty bold.
You think so?
You think so?
You really do. I don't think he finishes as a top 5 quarterback. I mean, maybe 6 or something. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be a number 10 or anything like that, but
you heard it here first. Bob Miller said Patrick Mahomes will not be a QB1 this year.
No, nothing like that. But I don't think he finishes as a top 5 guy. I think he's going to be a solid pick. I mean, he's a solid quarterback. I think teams are really going to focus on Kelsey. I don't know what to expect out of Sky Moore and MVS, McCole Hardman, things like that. But losing Tyreek Hill, losing Tyreek Hill was huge. Huge.
Yeah.
And I think Kelsey by default is going to get his targets. He's going to get his catches. But that Mahomes was such a home run hitter at quarterback because of Tyreek. And now that Tyreek's gone, and listen, I know that Sky Moore, one of these guys can maybe, McCole Hardman, you would think might fill that role, but who knows? And I just think that there are so many guys, that will finish inside the top 5. I just don't think that Mahomes will. I mean, Josh Allen, that's chalk. Justin Herbert. I think Lamar finishes there. I think Tom Brady probably finishes within the top 5 again this year. But you could see someone like Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, someone like that jumping in, grabbing that 5th spot to where, I could see Mahomes finishing as maybe number 6, maybe number 7 this year. I mean, maybe that's a little crazy, a little bold, but I really feel strongly about that.
Okay, well, you forgot to mention the actual number 1 QB this year, but that's okay. I'll get into that here in just a second.
Oh, you will you? Gotcha. So who else? What do you got, man?
This is kind of a 2-parter for my number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati has 2 wide receiver 1s, and Joe Burrow is the QB1.
Yeah, Joe Burrow, I really wanted to mention there. He was someone I was thinking when I was rattling off some things. I forgot to mention him there. I didn't mean to leave him out. I just forgot to put him in there.
So disrespectful.
Yeah. I'm a Ravens fan. What can you say? But listen, you're absolutely correct. I mean, these are the reasons why I think that Mahomes finishes outside that top 5. So, yeah, I mean, you're a big fan of Burrow. So that's not crazy bold. He definitely could be. I mean, you got 2 studs at wide receiver there, and then you got someone like Tyler Boyd, man in the slot. And then you can't forget the man, the myth, the legend, our boy, God, was our tight end. I'm just drawing a blank. Hayden Hurst. Yeah. Hayden Hurst is a stud.
Yep.
No, I'm just kidding. Hayden Hurst he's not chopped liver. He's going to be a very productive guy in that offense. But yeah, Joe Burrow could absolutely be the number one guy. I don't know how much he runs this year, and that certainly helps. But that offensive line has drastically changed this year. I think they revamped like 3/5 of that line, and it was all for the good.
Yep.
And I think he's going to rake. He is going to put up some numbers this year. And if you have him, consider yourself very, very lucky. All right. So talking about our guy a little while ago that made some comments earlier here, Smokey the Cat there, he had mentioned that he has Hunter Renfrow. And one of my bold predictions here is that Hunter Renfrow picks up where he left off last year, and he finishes as a top 15 wide receiver. He's a guy that's going very, very, in these mid rounds. And I love it because I'm grabbing him everywhere. I don't think his role changes very much. I'll be honest with you. He may lose he was a nice red zone target for Derek Carr, and I say he loses a little bit of that. But as far as being that safety blanket, third downs, whatnot, I really don't think that his production takes too much of a bump. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing what he puts up this year. And I think he finishes as a top 15. He's not going to be a wide receiver one. I thought about maybe saying he's going to finish as a top 24, but how bold is that really? Like, hey, this guy's going to finish as a wide receiver too, whatever. So I'm going to put him right there flirting with the top 15.
I think that's fairly bold considering he's the third option on his team.
Absolutely. Now, I don't think Devontae Adams is going to be all that this year. I don't think that Darren Waller is going to be all that this year. I think those guys, their productions take a hit. I don't think Hunter's does. I really don't. And it leads into my number 2, and I'm not going to go there yet. I'll let you do. Well, you know what? Screw it. I will go there.
Go ahead.
Renfrow, like I said, Hunter Renfrow picks up where he's left off. He's going to be, a top 15 wide receiver. And speaking of which, I'm going to say that Amon-Ra St. Brown has over 100 catches this year and finishes as a wide receiver 1, as a top 12 wide receiver. Call that bold, call it crazy, but you're picking him up at a wide receiver 3 price of flex.
That's not too far fetched. How many catches did he have last year? And he didn't. And he really didn't start even getting going until, a quarter of the way into the season.
Well, you're right, but that was because T.J. Hawkinson was hurt.
Right.
The targets had to go somewhere. He was getting like 10, 11 targets a game there, the last part of the season. I don't know if that happens. I'd love to see it, but I could see him being an 8 to 9 target guy. He's going to be the number 1 receiving option there. I don't think it will be TJ Hawkinson. Hawkinson's going to be just fine as long as he stays healthy. But as far as being the number 1 wide receiver there in Detroit, which is going to have a fairly so-so team, they're going to have to throw the ball quite a bit. And Jared Goff is not really a downfield thrower. They're going to keep a lot of stuff in front of them. I think Amon-Ra is really going to feast on, a lot of targets by default. Jameson Williams is going to be a great wide receiver, but I'm not counting on a whole lot from him until the second half of the season or maybe even next season. DJ Chark, bro, he's depth. I don't see
long term. Where do you see the pecking order with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams?
Depends on quarterback. It really depends on quarterback. If Jared Goff does just enough to stay around, it's Amon-Ra. That will be his Hunter Renfrow. That'll be his security blanket. That will be what they're looking for when they need a chunk of yards, when they need a first down. He'll be the guy that he turns to. Now, if there's a new quarterback, if they draft a new quarterback, that quarterback's going to want to throw the ball down the field. They're going to want to do, be a little flashy, whatever it may be. And I would say that will drastically affect St. Brown's production because Jameson Williams is the home run hitter. He is they're going to want out of him what Jamar Chase did or is going to do. Where Jamar Chase is probably that Jameson Williams type, Amon-Ra is that Justin Jefferson.
Sure.
Where he's just going to chip away at you, and he's going to get his catches. He's going to rack up. And I say that he eclipses 100 catches easily, and he's going to finish as a wide receiver 1. He's going to be a top 12 wide receiver this year. And, I think he's going to be a nice little league winner for all those that had him. It'll give you a lot of nice options there at wide receiver to kind of make some trades. You'll have some flexibility there. And so, if you don't have him, I think you can go get him for a good price. I think you can go trade for him now before it's too late. Games are on Sunday, so I think it's time to go get him last minute. I've got him everywhere I can, and I really strongly believe in that. I think Amon-Ra is going to be a stud this year.
Well, that may actually be a pretty good prediction long term as well, just because I'm not sure that the Lions are going to be bad enough to be able to get a Bryce Young or a CJ Stroud in the draft, and those are the obvious top 2 quarterbacks, in my opinion, in a lot of people's opinion, actually. So if they're not able to get either one of those 2, then they may as well just stick with Goff.
I agree. I absolutely agree. So if Goff is the guy there, then Amon-Ra is the guy there. That's my opinion. that was kind of like, I think some people's opinion on Justin Jefferson is like, hey, what's Minnesota going to do in a couple of years with Kirk Cousins? You have that stability with Joe Burrow and that connection. Joe Burrow's not going anywhere. And neither is Jamar Chase. So, you're going to have that connection. You're going to have that Montana Rice connection for a long, long time. So I think that's the reason why a lot of folks out there are kind of putting him right there, just slightly above Justin Jefferson. But I think that Kirk Cousins is going to be there for a few years to come. And as long as he's there, Adam Thielen's not getting any younger. He's not getting any faster. And Justin Jefferson's just going to continue to get better. And that's the reason why I have him having that slight edge. So like I said, as long as Jared Goff is there, then Amon-Ra is going to be his guy, in my opinion. I'm not concerned about that at all.
Yeah,
I say go get him. Go get him now.
It's a good call.
All right. So what else you got, bro?
I think that Chris Olave will be the number one rookie fantasy producer this year, with an honorable mention to George Pickens.
Man, how can you be bold about that? Hey, this guy's going to be the number one, but just in case, you heard it here, I'm going to go maybe George Pickens too.
Well, I mean, George Pickens is. I think it's going to be fairly close in between those two. Pickens is already being listed.
I mean, you don't think Treylon Burks? I don't either. I don't think Treylon Burks is going to do much. You think Chris Olave? I mean, what do you think about Garrett Wilson? I mean, some of these other guys.
I like Garrett Wilson. Kind of depends on Zach Wilson's health a little bit.
Well, it's been reported he's out. He's out for the first 4 weeks.
Right, and Flacco's not going to get him there. So that's kind of hard to pick Garrett Wilson there. But I like Olave. I like George Pickens. I think they're both going to be the wide receiver 2 on their respective teams, and I think on their teams they're going to have to kind of put up points too in order to kind of be able to contend.
I would lean more towards Pickens if it was me. Olave is a hell of a talent, but you do have Michael Thomas and you do have Jarvis Landry there.
Sure. Marcus Callaway's still there too.
Yeah, they're going to get theirs, in my opinion, with Jameis throwing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to get theirs. And Olave is going to flash. He's going to have some nice plays, but as far as the volume there, I don't know if it's going to be there just yet. Now, if Jarvis is out of town after this season, then yes. And especially if Michael Thomas maybe gets moved on, maybe if he moves on, gets traded or something like that, then I think Chris Olave is a great player to have. I don't know how much I can count on him this year. However, Pickens, we know what he's capable of.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, he's something. He's a very, very, very good player. And we have seen, Deontay Johnson's going to be the wide receiver 1, the number 1 option there. We know that. But Chase Claypool has done a lot to put himself in the doghouse there in Pittsburgh. And who knows that doesn't continue this year. Or maybe one of the reasons why they grabbed Pickens is because Claypool is maybe not.
He's worried too much about TikTok.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe they start really working Pickens in and throwing him the ball, seeing what he can do, really, because I think they they're on the fence. I think they could very much move forward without Chase Claypool, this time next year. So
I think Claypool is their 4th option. I think
over Freiermuth.
I think Freiermuth is a 3rd guy there.
Yep. So I like Olave long term. I actually like Pickens better this year.
Okay.
So,
my second part to that was Quay Walker will be the best IDP rookie.
Overall, he's going to be your best ID. He's going to score the most points as far as IDPs this year.
As far as IDP rookies, he's going to be the best
rookies
IDP. Right. He's not going to outscore TJ Watt. He's not going to,
Of course. No.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying as far as rookies go, he will be the best IDP rookie.
I'll tell you what, Aiden Hutchinson outscores him this year.
I don't see it. Quay Walker's going to be a tackling machine, man.
I think he will be too, but we'll see. We'll see if Hutchinson do that. We'll take a look at this, in the off season and see which one of us was right.
All right, you're saying Aiden Hutchinson.
I say Aiden Hutchinson. I say he's the, he's the guy. I don't think it'll be like Nakobe Dean or anything like that. I don't think so. I think Quay Walker is right there, like 1 and 2. Him and Hutchinson, I think, will be the top 2 scorers as far as like rookie IDPs this year. I absolutely could see Quay Walker. You're right. He's going to be a tackling machine. He's going to be right in the middle of that field, making plays. But with the way that Dynasty Pros, the way we score our IDPs and sacks, I don't know. I think Aiden Hutchinson. I'm going to go Aiden Hutchinson slightly over that. So we'll see.
All right. Solid. It's a solid pick as well.
All right. You were talking about 1 Watt a second ago. Let's finish up your top 5 with your last one here.
Sure. TJ Watt will break the single season sack record this year.
What is the single sack record?
Isn't it 22 and a half?
I think. Didn't he have 22 and a half?
Maybe no, I'm pretty sure the record is still now I'm drawing a blank.
No, it was what's his face that broke it. Strahan, right?
Strahan.
Strahan had 22 and a half in 2001.
Yep.
And TJ Watt had 22 and a half in 2021.
Okay. Well, he will break that this year.
Nice. Because I was on the show with, the IDP show with a lot of guys, Davenport and, Nate Markham and all these guys, Hollywood Titan, all of these guys. Hollywood was adamant. He said, man, there's no way that he's going to finish with 20 sacks this year. I told him, I said, bro, his floor is 15 sacks. His floor is 15 sacks. I could see him in a bad – I mean, he's probably easy 17 to 18. So, yeah, maybe with the way Alex Highsmith is kind of coming along and is a threat on the other side of the field, I absolutely could see that. I mean, it's bold. I mean, he's already kind of tied for that record.
He's tied for it, but he will break it this year. Not only that, he may touch 24.
All right. That's pretty wild, man. Before I give you my number 1, we've got one more question here from some of our viewers here. Deshaun Bogan here says, which one do I flex here, Michael Thomas or David Montgomery?
PPR, I say Michael Thomas. If it's a standard, I'd go David Montgomery.
I think I'm going to go David Montgomery both ways here. Even if it is PPR, I think Montgomery has the best chance of maybe scoring a touchdown here. With those mouths that are being fed there in New Orleans. I think Michael Thomas would be a great play. I think he'll have 4 or 5 catches for probably 40, 50, maybe 60 yards. And if he gets a touchdown, that's a fantastic day. But I think David Montgomery maybe gives you the little bit better chance of scoring that touchdown to kind of put him over the top for me. Certainly not going to catch any passes, but he could easily, hit about 70, 75 yards rushing with a touchdown. And I think that'd be a very, very productive day for you.
See, I kind of question that also because the Bears offensive line is trash.
It's not good. It's not good. That offense in general is not good.
No.
But that kind of makes me wonder if that's the reason why they're just going to have to try and run the ball, do what they can, control the clock, keep the other team off the field as much as possible, their offense at least. So, it's a toss-up. If it's me, I'm probably leaning David Montgomery just slightly, just because I think he might give you the better chance for the touchdown. So, but thanks, Deshaun. Thanks for reaching out to us there, man. All right, so before we wrap things up, I'm going to give you my number 1 bold prediction this year, and that is that Cam Akers finishes as a top 8 running back this year. Not top 10, not top 12, top 8. I think he is going to be a very, very nice play, and I think this is an extremely bold prediction. Very, very bold because
I think it's pretty bold too.
The majority of people out there don't like Cam. He didn't look great when he came back. Well, of course, he probably didn't look great when he came back. In my opinion, I thought he looked fine. He had quite a bit of burst. And in that offense, I think he's going to have a nice amount of catches. I think he's going to have a tremendous amount of touchdown opportunities. And I think when I see this, I think Todd Gurley. I think of what Todd Gurley put up in that offense, and I see Cam Akers doing something similar to that. Darrell Henderson is not the starter. He'll give him a breath, whatever it is. 50-50 splits, I don't believe it. Maybe game one, maybe week one. But when they see that Akers is a much more explosive, much more dynamic player than Henderson is, they're just not going to be able to keep him off the field. They're going to put him out there. And I think to me, he's this year's Austin Eckler. I think that he can put up 15 plus touchdowns and really, really be a league winner, like a true league winner at his current price and ADP and whatever you want to call it. I think he finishes as a very, very solid RB1. And if he is this year's Austin Eckler, then he's probably a top 5 running back. But I think he finishes right there in the top 8 because of his touchdown opportunities and stuff, and the touchdowns that he puts up. I think he probably puts up close to 15 touchdowns, and that's going to slide him right in there in the top 8 category. So
you've been pounding the table on him all
gosh, I have. I'm really up on a mountaintop just singing his praises and saying, go grab him. And maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm nuts. But I guess I'm going to go down with that ship, one way or another. Yeah, we can't hit a home run every at bat. So
you're old. You can just claim you're senile.
There you go. Well, all right. Well, guys, Tommy, man, I appreciate you coming on today. Everyone, thank you for the questions there on YouTube. Keep them coming. Be sure to tweet at us there at Dynasty Pros FF. And like I said, be sure to go check out the website, dynastyprosfootball.com. I just finished up all the latest IDP rankings, all of our Dynasty rankings. We just updated there, working on the trade values right now. That's wonderful if someone's making those offers to you. So be sure to go check us out there at Dynasty Pros Football. So for me, for Bob Miller, for Tommy Harvey over here, we thank you all for giving us a look there. And, check us out next week. We'll see you later.